Welcome to our new live session. And today our guest is a wonderful artist, Elisa. She creates very vibrant and very colorful geometrical murals. And Elisa is UK-based artist, and she's really gorgeous in creating these geometrical, vibrant compositions. And you can find many beautiful walls that she covered with her art. Also, she collaborates with different companies and brands. And today we will talk about how to transform spaces with bold and colorful art. We'll talk about some insights into income for artists and cultural and community impact. Also, how to collaborate with brands. And if you want to get all the highlights of this interview, you're welcome to subscribe to the newsletter, which is absolutely free. You can find the link in my bio, and then you will get all their tips from these interviews with artists into your inbox. And I'm inviting, yeah, I see the you're very welcome to drop any questions you might have in the comments, and we will be happy to answer all your questions. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
You disappeared on my screen.
Mm?
Oh
Yeah. Can you see me now?
no.
No? Oh, okay. I will try to
Is it
reconnect my camera.
me? What have I done?
Can you see me now?
No.
I don't know. Don't know what to.
Let me leave and join again. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So today we will talk about mural art, about colorful bold designs, about commissions with some global brands. And if you're interested in how to create beautiful artworks, how to I will some technical details here, right? Okay, I accepted I hope the camera will work now. Yeah.
Hello. I still can't see you.
Okay.
What's going on with my Instagram?
Is it okay for you to just to talk with to talk with me without the
I'll just
picture?
talk to myself.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hello, me.
Yeah, but I can see you very well, and I see your
That's
beautiful
so
studio on the background, right? That's so
Look into my studio.
colorful.
Oh, okay. So
That's
other people can see us both, so it's just me that can't see you.
okay. Oh, by the way, you matched so well to your art.
Blend me in.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
got these earrings the other day, and I'm loving life.
yeah. So I think we are ready to
Yeah.
start, right? Let's begin from the first questions about your background.
Yes.
If you please share a little bit about your artistic journey, how did you become interested in murals, and everything about the beginning of your art
Yeah.
journey.
So I used to work in film and TV. So I used to work behind the scenes and like prop painting. So like for all the big films and for like kids TV, I used to paint everything and like make everything for that. And then COVID happened, and I was like, oh, it's an opportunity for me to just do what I want. And then from there, because I only started collaging maybe like 7 years ago when I was in Australia. Um, so you know you get when you go to like the home stores and you want to get paints, so you get these with like the colors on them. And so I was in Australia and they have like really good ones, and then I was like cutting things and it was like big shapes and colors, and like my mind exploded, and I was like, oh my god, this is what I've meant to be doing this whole time, because I hated being like hyper realistic or having to do things perfectly. And so this was a way for me to do stuff really quickly and put ideas down, and then it all just kind of kicked off from there. And then my godmother asked me to paint the outside of her like extension of her house, and I'd never done it before. I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. And then I did that, and then slowly things just like snowballed, and now it's like my full-time job. So yeah, an adventure.
Yeah, by now you have so many amazing projects. I saw on your Instagram that you decorated even the office of Meta, right?
Yeah, that's like one of my top jobs so far. I'm like,
yeah, how did that happen?
so I was contacted by a company that was working for Meta, and they had a selection of artists, and they narrowed it down to 5 people, and I was one of them. Originally, I was like, "Is this real?" I was like, "Put my time in to like apply for this," so I thought, "Oh, I'm just gonna try. Like, you never know." And then they liked me the most, and so I got to paint their head office, and it's like the craziest job I've had so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Can you walk us through your creative process,
Mhm.
starting from the idea, sketches, and then to the final work?
Yeah, so I start with like collaging. So depending on what the client wants, usually the client lets me kind of do my own thing because they know my style, they know what I like to do. So I'll start again with like bits of paper. I'll just play with them, play with like the layout. And then from there, I can kind of see how it works. And then I transfer that onto my iPad, and then I draw digitally, and that lets me like move things around, lets me like superimpose it onto a picture of the wall so that then I can send that to the clients. And then they can be like, oh, well, maybe less of this or add this. But usually I send them like 3 designs, and then they pick the one that they love the most. And maybe I'll tweak a few things. But it's generally quite a straightforward process, and then from there I just go and paint, and then they're happy for me to just do my thing.
Mm-hmm. And can you share with us also some technical tips? How do you transfer your artwork from iPad to the wall?
Oh.
Maybe.
So because my stuff is just like shapes and patterns, it's kind of easier in a sense compared to a lot of people that maybe do like things or like people. So I can roughly judge where things go. So I generally split up the wall into like halves and then quarters, and then I can see like, oh, those 3 circles are roughly to the left to the top, and then from there I can work out the rest of it. So it's not always like completely accurate, but that's generally how I do it. And I just bought myself a projector, so I'll sometimes use that, but not very often. I prefer just like working it out because it's not too hard to do.
Mhm. I also noticed that you run the workshops
Mm-hmm.
and teach others to create these vibrant collages. Maybe you noticed that people struggle with something creating these collages because it looks like it's pretty accessible for people without even without the experience. I suppose that playing with colors and shapes is really very enjoyable process and accessible for many. But I'm curious if you noticed that most of people have challenges with this or that. Can you share it also?
Yeah, generally, like I go into a lot of schools, and the older the kids get, the harder they find it to let go. So because my stuff is shapes, I'll generally just say like, okay, I want you to stick 3 different shapes down, and then they want to do like hearts and like things, and I'm like, no, pick like circles or squares, and yeah, you can see that it takes them. They want to do like actual things, whereas you give the little ones stuff, and they're just like going crazy. But then you see the adults when they come into the workshops, they're like, oh, I'm terrible at art. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, my teacher told me I was rubbish and I've never done anything ever since. And then you slowly see them kind of let go a bit. And then you're like, oh, okay, they're getting it. And then you give them more. And the more you give like kind of parameters of what they can do, they find it easier. And then you start shifting those. Um, but yeah, I find after the workshop, people will send me pictures of stuff they've continued to do at home. So then I'm like, oh, you've like released something. Like someone the other day said after my workshop, they were like, I think this is the first art I've done since I was a kid, and he's like 50 or 60. Um, and his teacher had like squashed his artisticness down and said he was rubbish. And after that, he was like, it kind of released something in me, and I feel really proud of what I made. So I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, so I get really nice outcomes, and I've seen since I started like teaching workshops during COVID, I've seen people continuing to do like art stuff since then. So I feel like maybe just being able to do something quite simple, as in like doing some collages, has really like opened up people's minds. So yeah, I'm quite proud of those moments.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's really very, very wonderful that you share your art with others and
Hmm.
teach others and help them. What advice would you give to someone who has no experience in art but would love to make collages, considering their color palette? How do you work with colors? Maybe you have some advice how to build a color palette.
So I think you're naturally drawn to certain colors. Like for me, if it doesn't have pink in it, it doesn't work for my brain. Yeah, it's really funny. I'll like start designing a mural, and I'm like, "Oh, this just isn't working in my head." I'm like, I'm missing the pink. So I always start with the color that I love the most, because then you know that it will be fine afterwards. So I always have pink and yellow and like to start with, and then I know that everything will be okay. So it's like picking the colors that you love the most, and then maybe just I find that just like playing with loads of different colors, like I find red really hard to work with. It just doesn't work in my head very well. Red and like dark green are the two colors that I struggle with. I feel like it makes everything look kind of angry. So I've worked out that those two colors are not my colors. So I think it's just playing and seeing what looks nice together as well. But yeah, if you choose your favorite colors and then experiment with those colors using other things and giving yourself limitations. So you're like, I'm only going to use four colors and I'm only going to use four shapes. And then that will give you something to start with. And then from there, you can develop and like add more shapes, add more colors. Like that's how I always start collaging at home. I'm like, okay, I'm going to cut four circles out. They're all going to be different colors. Then I'm going to cut four rectangles out and they'll be different colors. And then I'll just place them. And every collage looks different, because then you work out what things look well together as well. So yeah.
Mhm. There's a comment in the
Oh,
question, the comment about it's you can find the account eliza.artist. I think at the top of the live there should be both of our accounts, right?
yes.
Because people,
Eloisa.artist. And my teaching one is Colour Club London. So that's when I put workshops up and all of that stuff.
no. Me too. I also struggle with the green, with green colors.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Right. It has to
tricky.
be a certain green or a certain mix of other colours. Otherwise, I don't know. I find it too like, hmm, it's funny.
I'm also curious how your multicultural background influenced your art, and maybe you find some inspiration there also.
Yeah, I guess so. So my mum's from Chile, like South America, and my dad's Scottish. But in Chile, during there was like a massive dictatorship in the 70s, which is why my mum came over to England. But there were these posters, not posters, people painted murals all over the country, and they were like very political, very colourful. So I feel like maybe that's kind of filtered into my work. Not that I've like consciously thought about it. But I think being like South American gives you like the Latina vibes. I don't know. I've just always loved colors. Like when I was a kid, I was just like, colors. So maybe it's just something. Maybe I don't know. You know when you're like, what do other people see? Oh, hi from South America. Like what do other people see compared to you? Like I love colors, but maybe other people see colors differently. I don't know. I've always wondered what everyone sees. Maybe I've just got like weird eyes that like search for all the colors. I don't know.
I enjoy colors very much, especially warm
Yeah, you
colors.
do. Yeah. You're a color lady too.
Yeah. If you talk about collages,
Mm.
me personally, I think it's a wonderful way to start practicing art, to play with art, do you have any
Hmm.
tips on how make it even easier? Maybe you have some methods, kind of first I make many shapes, cutouts, and then
Hmm.
glue one by one, or what, maybe what glue do you use, or what is
Oh,
it, what is your process in making, in playing with colors? Stick. Yeah.
Grit stick is your best
Yeah.
friend. I like the
Yeah.
little ones, not the fat ones. I like the small ones because then you can. I don't like doing this. I
Yeah.
like doing this with
Mm-hmm.
my hands,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's less messy. But the way I do it is sometimes I'll just cut like a whole load of shapes out, and then I'll stick them down without overthinking it. Because I think that overthinking is what ruins people's expectations, and then they don't want to do it. So I basically started not being perfectionist and just going for it. So this is what I do in my workshops. I'm like, just go for it. You've got 1 minute. You have to stick them down. And then it stops people being like, oh, maybe I'll put the square here, and then I'll put this, and then I'll add this, and then they have to take it all away to stick it all down again. So I just say, stick it as you go, and not worry about it, because I think, yeah, that's what kills your creativity if you stress about it, which is why I found collaging was like the best thing for me, because before that I'd worry about like the placement and like, oh, it's not going to be good enough. But because it's so easy, you can just cut shapes like this, or you can use stickers. Stickers are also amazing because you can just stick them down and you don't feel like you spent ages cutting them, and it's gonna ruin what you've made. So if you use stickers, if you cut shapes out and then just go for it, I think that's the best way that you can possibly start creating. And then from that, you learn what works, what doesn't work for you, what placements work, and then yeah, you just keep going, and then somehow you've started a mural business.
So it's better to make 10 collages in 15 minutes than
Mhm.
one. Uh, do you have a sketchbook with your collages, or is it are these separate
Uh,
papers?
I just have tons of papers just
Hmm.
everywhere, and yeah, I'm just surrounded by paper. And then I've got my favorite papers, which are these. You can see they're kind of
Oh,
they're
so
like
colorful.
textured paper. I don't know if you can see that, but they're kind of thicker card. And yeah, they've got a little texture on them. But I really love using these because they've got great colors, and you can buy a pack of them, and it has like 100 bits of paper. Actually, let me show you so you can get it somewhere in here. So they're called Paper Mania, and it's textured.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love these. And then you get, well, this isn't the whole pack, but you get so many papers. 75 sheets. These are my favorite papers, but you can also, I get them from like the pound shops, the cheapo shops, like anywhere I can find colored paper, I just take it, and I'm like, and also just having a stack of just plain paper or plain card is really great, because then you don't worry about ruining it. Sometimes you get really nice papers and you're like, I'll save this for a special occasion, and then you never use it. So I always find that if I've got a few packs of these, then I don't worry about using too much of it, because I know there's always more, if
Yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. I can relate to this because
Mhm.
sometimes paper is so gorgeous and so expensive, then you just wait. Yeah. Okay, so you have tons of beautiful collages, but how did you turn it into commissions? Can you remember your first walls, your first commissions? How did that happen?
Uh, I guess it was my godmother's. So she asked me to paint it, and she was quite happy for me to do my own thing. So I started again. I made like a mini version of the wall, and I just collaged on it, and then I painted it on. But now with like clients and customers, um, people either generally people just let me do my thing because I've got my own style and they know what they're gonna get. But if it's like for Meta, they just had to have it approved by everyone. So you have to have like a design to show them. So yeah, you show them the design. They generally are very happy with it, if not like a couple of tweaks here and there. But yeah, I just send them an iPad drawing, and they're like, hey, signed off.
Did you build your website with portfolio first, or maybe you had a good reach on Instagram? Because to find, okay, first it was your kind of friends and acquaintance, but next, where did you get these commissions?
So it's all through mainly Instagram. So I built my following on Instagram. It was just like I painted my godmother's house. Then I painted the toilet of the shop I worked in. Then I painted my friend's toilet. Then that led to winning a commission to paint a music school. And then it just like slowly happened. But I built my website, but mainly it's Instagram because I see Instagram as like a portfolio. Um, so people can see exactly what you've done. They can see like, oh, she paints buildings. Oh, she runs workshops. Oh, it's all colors. Like it's a very easy way for people to just scroll through and really understand what you do. And then it's word of mouth. And then sometimes it's commissions, but not very like not commissions, competitions. But that's not very often. And I don't particularly like doing them because you waste loads of time putting a portfolio together and you never know if you're going to get the job. So it's mainly Instagram, which is great for me because I don't have to go chasing people, which is the bit I don't like because it's a bit scary.
What was it challenging for you to share not only your art but also yourself as an artist on Instagram? Were you shy about that, or maybe you always
Yeah.
were very extroverted?
Oh, I'm a massive introvert. But somehow I like I'm quite good at like pretending to be an extrovert. Or yeah, so I know like I put myself on Instagram because I think people need to see who you are. Um, and I think a lot of it is because I am my own work. Like I wear all the colors, all my
Yeah.
stuff is happy. I'm a happy person. Um, so it makes sense for me to show who I am. Oh, there's a dog in here. Yeah, so I like putting myself out there, but not too much because then people know a bit too much about you. But I think it's enough to show like this is who you are as a person, and then people are more likely to hire you because they already know what you're like. So I've had people that I've met and then they're like, oh my God, you're exactly like how you are on Instagram. So it's very good for people to know how they work with you because, yeah, they feel like they already know you.
Do you have any plan, content plan, how to, what and how and when to post on Instagram? Oh,
I'm like, haven't posted in a couple of days. Yes, it's all day. Unless I've got stuff coming up, then I'll do it. But people was like, oh my God, you need to do like a monthly plan and you need to do all of this stuff and for all of these days. I'm like, I cannot be bothered. Like I just post when I feel like it or if I've got something to say. Otherwise, I don't know, it's just
yeah,
I can't
that
be
it, and as we can see, that works for you, and that's great.
yeah.
Also, I have some questions about your first commissions, your first walls.
Hmm.
Did you meet any kind of maybe fears, blocks, or challenges when you started to transfer your collages on the walls? Because I understand that your designs, as you mentioned, not so complicated comparing to portraits or something like this. But anyway, a small piece of paper, a collage on your paper on iPad, and the big wall, especially if it's a building or an
Yeah.
office, there's definitely some differences in there. What
Yeah,
was?
definitely.
Mhm.
Well, when you get there, because you only see it once you get there. So if someone will have sent you a photo being like, "Oh, this is my wall. This is how big it is," and you're like, "Oh, okay, 2 meters by 6 meters." You're like, "Oh, that's not that bad." And then you actually get there, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is so much bigger than I thought it was." Like for some reason, I seem to like minimize things in my head, and then I get there, I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna take a little longer than I thought." So so then I have to work out. So I work out so certain paints, you know that they take more layers, like yellows and oranges take like 3 to 4 coats because they're a lot thinner. So I work in that way that I know that those are the shapes that I need to do
Mhm.
first. And then I know like the sketch like yeah, so pinks, not pinks, yellows and oranges go first, and then afterwards I know all the others take about 2 coats. So I'll start with those. So I have everything that I know that I need to do in my head. So when I'm sketching everything out, I'm like, okay, let me start doing this bit, and then I'll tape all these bits and I'll draw these bits, because I know that's how the process will go. But yeah, when I map it out, sometimes I'm like, oh God, where's halfway? And then you have to like measure things. And I put little bits of tape to measure where halfway, quarter is. And then I'll draw it out with I draw it out with coloring pencils, because if you use actual like graphite pencils, it comes through the paint. And so all these things that I've learned along the way, because no one taught me how to do this. So it's everything that I've just learned by doing it. But yeah, sometimes it is quite daunting when you see a wall and you're like, especially like the bigger it gets. Like I had to do the side of a house, and I had to go up scaffolding. It was like 4 floors of scaffolding. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to measure a circle when I'm stood here and the top of the circle is like 6 meters above? I was like, what am I going to do? So I just had like this giant piece of string, and I was like, and I'd have to like climb down the scaffolding and like carry on doing the circle, and like climb back up to finish the circle. So yeah, it depends on the wall that you have to really think about how you're going to do it.
Mhm. And what kind of paint do you use for the walls?
So it depends. When you're doing outdoor walls, you need to use exterior paint, because it needs to withstand the weather. It needs to be light fast, because you've obviously got more sunshine on it. So if you use indoor paint, it will peel off, it will fade. It's not a good idea. And then when you're doing indoors, you're using like emulsion paints, and depending on if it's someone's house or if it's a school or a place where loads of people pass, you need to use like a vinyl emulsion, so that you can wipe it and it doesn't scuff. So it depends where you're painting. You need different types of paint.
Is there any difference for you when you paint the wall in the theater, in the private house, or in the office?
Yeah, because again, you have to like think about who's going to be using the space. So yeah, if you're doing a school, you know that kids walk past with their disgusting little hands. Just you need to, you need to be able to wipe it off. Or if people are like walking past with bags and things, you need to use like a very durable paint. So you can't go for like cheap stuff. You have to go for the kind of more expensive things. So my room is literally covered in paint tubs. I think I've got about 150 tubs of paint. So I've got different ones for different walls. So if there's ever an earthquake, I will be drowned by paint tubs.
How often do you make these changes in your room on the walls?
Oh, like this one?
Yeah.
I've only ever painted it once, and I don't think I'll ever paint it again, because I really like this one. But I've got one in my kitchen that I want to redo, because I did that when I like first started, so I feel like I've developed my style more, so I want to have it more in keeping with what is me now. So I'll probably do that during Christmas or January when it's quiet.
By the way, how long does it take for you to make a wall like this one that on the background?
Like
Yeah.
this one, because it was for me, I didn't have much of a like, there was no pressure to do it in time. So this one took maybe 2 days. But in general, I try and do this in a day. And that's also because I know how things dry. I know which bits need to be done first. So I know time scales. I'm like, okay, if I do this top yellow first, then I do that side, and then I can tape over it, and then it will be dry. So I need to think about these things. And also, depending on the budget, you can kind of work out like, okay, so this will take me a day and a half. So if I cut this time down, I can maybe do it in a day. So you've got to work out your time and your budget. And also, if I'm traveling really far, I'm like, oh, I want to finish it today because I don't want to drive another 2 hours tomorrow. So you've got to think about all these things when you're doing it.
And how do you price your work? Do you have any method how to calculate the price?
Yeah, usually I price per square meter, because then I roughly know how long things are going to take. But then you have different prices. Like if it's a business, it's going to help their business, so you price a bit higher. If it's a school, I know that schools don't have as much money, so I'll give them like a better price. So it all depends on the person or the business, or the if it's a community thing. So I have different layers of pricing, but I do have like a rough, like, yeah, square meter, so I know how long it will take, and I know roughly like how much it will be. So yeah, you have to price it according to who you're working with.
As you're teaching the workshops, does it mean that you have different streams? Sorry, sometimes I forgot English. Of your income. These are not only murals, but you maybe also make some designs for something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so main murals is my big one. Then I've worked with different companies to like design things for them. So I worked with like Westfield to design their clothing banks to encourage people to come and like recycle their clothes. I've worked with like Mini and Crayola to get kids interested in designing for this competition they were doing. So it all depends on what they want, but it's basically to encourage people to be involved. And I think that's because you've got the colors, the shapes. It's very like universally loved by people. So it's very easy for people to be like, oh, what's that? Oh, I'm very interested. And they're like, oh, it's for a competition, or it's like, oh, to recycle your things or recycle your books. Like it speaks to a lot of people. And so that's what works really well for me when I'm working with other clients, because they kind of know that they'll get people interested in it.
Yeah, and what advice would you give to beginner artists who want to make an art career, especially into mural art, or maybe also sharing their art with others through
Mm-hmm.
other options?
I'd say only ever do something that you love to do. Otherwise, it's pointless. Like I started maybe like 10 years ago, I was making t-shirts and it was doing like funny little animations, and my heart was not in it. But I was like, I don't want to work somewhere else. But I was like, I need to start my own thing, and it wasn't right. And I hated selling it and I hated promoting it because it wasn't me. But it took me so long to realize that, and it was only when I started collaging that I was like, oh, this is what I was meant to do. So I'd say just like experiment, try different things, and the thing that makes you feel really good is the thing that you should be doing. Otherwise, you find it so hard to sell your stuff. You find it so hard to talk about your work because you're not proud of it, which is what I was. I was like, oh, this stuff's crap, but like, oh, I've already started, so I must carry on. And it's like, whereas this, I'm very proud to be like, I'm an artist and I paint really fun stuff, like, because that's who I am as a person. So it makes sense for you to do something that you love, that you're proud to talk about, and that you're actually proud to show people. Like now I'm like, check out my Instagram, like it's super colorful and it represents me. So yeah, just do something you love, otherwise don't bother.
By the way, can you tell us what are your favorite projects and why?
My favorite project. Um, I painted a school down in South London, and it was like this massive wall outside. And I ran the workshops with the kids beforehand, and the kids loved it. And we did stuff with stickers, and they were just like stickering, and they were just like, oh, I love stickers. And then they got to watch me paint it during like break time, lunchtime, and they'd all come and ask me questions, and then they'd come back and be like, oh my God, she's painted so cool. And then they'd ask me like all the questions under the sun, and it was just really fun. And that I think it's one of my favorite projects just because it's so colorful and you can see it from down the road, you can see it from miles away, and all the kids love it, and all the parents were like, oh, it makes such a difference to the school. And so it was like I got a lot from it. And I had a classroom named after me in another school, and I went to the school and the kids didn't know I was coming, and they'd been like studying me in their class, and then the teacher was like, we've got someone very special coming in. And then I came in and they were like, my God, it's Eloisa! And I felt like a celebrity. I was like, I'm here. And then I ran a workshop. And then at the end, I asked all the kids, so who wants to be an artist? And they were like, me. And yeah, it was like the best day of my life.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
So good.
I can imagine so much love and
Mhm.
energy.
Yeah, it was great.
That's wonderful. Okay, what other questions do I have? I was so impressed by your story that I lost the track of the questions. Okay, about we talked about what else? Cultural, yeah. Maybe it would be also interesting. By the way, everyone who's listening, you're very welcome to drop any questions you might have to Eliza. And my question is about how do you promote your art? Because I'm sure that people who see your art on the walls ask who is the author and can contact you. But anyway, you are using Instagram. Maybe you have a newsletter or maybe promoted somehow else.
Yeah, I've got a newsletter. I've started putting like a PDF together to send out to schools and for businesses just to show what I do, so that I can be like, hey, I can improve your space. So that's something that I've been meaning to do for ages, but I just can't bring myself to sit at the computer. So I will do that one day. So yeah, so I can show people. And then I've been working with like business coaches to get my website really good so that people come in and they immediately know what I do. I get a lot of people contacting me through my website. So it's always really good to have a website to showcase what your work is and how they can contact you. And I've got videos on there being like, hi, I'm Eloisa, so that people know who you are. Yeah, I think website is a very important one, and it shows all the people that you've worked with, all the kind of work you do. Like, even if you're just starting out, you can show your portfolio of things that you've done, or maybe what you've previously done, so that people can see who you are and what you can do. So it's not like, even though I'm like 5 years into it, you can still show stuff, and it always makes you look more official if you have a website and if you have one that represents who you are. So mine's colorful, it's quite playful, but also gets my message across that I do workshops, I paint murals, I have a shop. Like, there are loads of different ways that you can work with me. So even if you don't offer like a service, you could still have a shop, and that could just be selling, like I started selling tea towels and like everyone's loving them. So there's always different ways that you can sell things and show your work and make some money along the way. But even you can get like free websites, which, so yeah, I just recommend having a website. And Instagram, always showing what you're doing, showing what's coming up, showing behind the scenes, showing your studio. Even people love it when you show like tidying up videos of your studio. It's like very funny things that people are interested in. Or just like, a lot of people love it when I peel tape or when I paint circles, because it's super satisfying. So it's just finding those little things that people enjoy and then just putting more of those things on. But yeah, just fun stuff. My stuff's just fun.
About tea towels,
Mm-hmm.
where do you print them? Do you ship them by yourself, or is it print on demand?
So I found this company that my friend had used, and her towels and aprons that she had made were really good. So I contacted them, and they're in the UK. So I've got 3 different designs. I get them printed, they send them over to me, and then I ship them out to whoever wants them or have them at markets or family and friends. But it's a very interesting, like, gift, I guess, a product, because it's a low cost for other people. It's easy to gift, and it's a great way for people to have your work that don't have a house that they can paint the walls, or they don't have the money. It's like a very easy, affordable way for them to invest in you and also get something back with your art on it. So I'd always been like, oh, tea towels, who buys tea towels? And now I'm like, oh my God, everyone buys tea towels. So it's a very good way of getting your work out there. So I would highly recommend.
Isn't it very time consuming for you to get these towels, to pack them, to deliver with them?
It's not too bad, mainly because my business isn't like stuff. So I generally don't have like hundreds of orders. I think if I did, then I'd have to rethink it all. But because mine is like here and there, and then if it's Christmas, then you get more. So it's generally not that bad.
Mhm.
But yeah, you do have to kind of think about that stuff. That's why I don't do things like cards, because the price point isn't high enough. So you don't actually make that much money back. So you have to think about the logistical side and whether it's worth your time doing it.
Mm-hmm. And about the newsletter, how often do you send these emails? What is inside?
I'm not very good at sending the newsletters. It's mainly if I've got like a new product or a new workshop, and I try to like interest people, like, oh, this is what I've got coming up, and then I'll do a little post at the bottom of like, here's something else that I've been working on. So I'll show a mural, so it like targets people that want to buy stuff and also people that are just interested in what you're doing. So I try and like make it interesting for them, and then maybe a picture of my dog, just cute.
Yeah, dog's always cute.
Yeah.
Do you maybe you use any this kind of, what is the name for this? Google advertisement or something? Google Ads to, or
Never
all
done
the people?
it.
So all the people who find your website, they are from Instagram.
Yeah, mainly I think because I don't use TikTok because I'm too old and I can't be bothered to make videos. Um, so yeah, I think it's mainly through Instagram.
Yeah, it's really very interesting to know these little details about how everything works
Uh-huh.
for artists. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah, maybe there's something else that you would love to share with our listeners today.
Um, if anyone works for Transport for London, I want to like collaborate with them because they do all the buses, all the tubes, and I would love to have a double-decker bus with like all my stuff on it. I think that would be like the ultimate thing that I would be like. So if anyone out there, help me.
Yeah, and these PDFs that you send to schools that you mentioned,
Mhm.
is it kind of a portfolio that and offer to schools and other places that you show that, hey guys, I can make your walls so beautiful. These are the
Mhm.
pictures. If you, is it something like this, or
Yeah.
how does it work?
So the school one with the schools, I offer it out as I run the workshop with the kids. Then I design the mural using the work from that workshop, and then I come and paint it. So I do like different offerings. So that's how I kind of planned it out, and then I show all the schools that I've painted, and yeah, so it's just kind of showing how they can get me in to help their school and make it more colourful and happy. So yeah, it's just showing the process and showing different price brackets because yeah, you want to offer different things for them. But I still haven't sent that out, so I'm still working on it. So maybe it will change. Who knows?
Do you have any kind of working schedule? For example, on Mondays, I send these emails, PDFs, or something like
Oh,
this, and
no,
no?
I've had like different coaches and things being like, okay, you need to do this and this and this, and Monday should be your marketing day, and Wednesday should be this day. And then when it gets to it, I'm like, I just want to sit here and play with some paper. And then in
That's
the
wonderful.
evening, I'll be like, oh, now it feels like time to do like website stuff. So I schedule because the more I try and stick to it, the more I stress out that I've not done it. So if I just do what I want at that time, it seems to work for me. So,
That's great. My last question for today. Looking back, what would you tell your younger self when you first started this journey?
that everything's gonna be okay. That you just need to keep doing the thing that you love, and then stuff will happen. And if not, you can always go back to film and TV and paint some props if it all does not work out. So it'll be fine. Just believe in yourself.
Eli- Eliza, thank you so much. Thank you for your wonderful, cheerful, joyful mood, and that you share your vibrant art with us. And your personality is also so lovely and vibrant. Thank you for thank you for being here. It was a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much. It's a shame I couldn't actually see you on my screen. Just talking to myself.
Sorry, but yeah, you will see on the recording. I will share.
Yeah.
I will tag you there as a collaborator. So
All right,
send you in a few
amazing.
minutes.
Okay. All
Thank
right, thank
you.
you so much. Thanks
Yeah,
for joining, everyone.
yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.